Scary Night Shift Stories. You guys remember when I did that one? It was quite a while ago, wasn't it? I took a look at that video the other day and saw that so many of you liked it. It's still getting comments and likes to this day. That tells me we're not done here. That tells me we should go and look at some more. Somehow I found even better ones than before. Continue at your peril. My name is Danny Burke and this is the top 10 Scary Night Shift Stories part 2. Starting off number 10 now, we have the Slammer. This one comes from a Reddit user who said he used to work as a security guard in an old jail. There were abandoned jail cells in the basements below that hadn't been used in years. Part of his duties involved patrolling for potential squatters. Now one night, it was only his second time patrolling alone and things started getting weird. He went down to the old prison cells, a long narrow hallway lined by cells on both sides. The hallway was always lit by light bulbs hanging down from the ceiling. He was walking past the fourth column of cells when suddenly the lights just went out. He turned his flashlight on and walked back towards the light switch. Just as he was about to turn them back on, the lights flickered on again. He decided to get out of there. He walked quickly past the cells, glancing at them to check. About halfway down, the lights went off again and instantly he heard two cell doors just slam in the darkness. He ran with his flashlight on straight towards the other end of the hallway, reached the end and ran up to his workstation. He then called his supervisor and asked him if there were any electrical issues that had been reported. He said no. He stayed inside his workstation, terrified of what was lurking below him in the abandoned jail cells. Moving on to number 9 now, we have the Body. This one comes from Reddit user Yaxax. He said that his very first job was running a cloakroom in a nightclub. Over the road there was a multi-story car park. One night around 1 AM he found himself zoning out and just staring at the car park when he noticed a body fall from the top and then plunge below his vision. He jolted up and ran outside to the balcony to look over, but there wasn't a body on the floor. He was very creeped out, but thought it must have just been his imagination. However, it kept happening. At least once a week, always around 1 AM, he would see a body fall limply from the top of the car park and disappear without a trace. It happened so much that he could remember what the body looked like, what they were wearing, everything. Whenever he mentioned this to the other staff though, they said they'd never heard anything about it or seen anything at all. He watched the CCTV, but the cameras couldn't see anything. He looked up information to see if anyone had died there, but found nothing. The unknown falling body remains an unsolved mystery. Next up at number 8 now, we have the Transporter. This one comes from a Reddit user who said he used to work as a transporter in a hospital. Now during his time there, they were moving from their old creepy hospital into a brand new facility. The old building was being gradually shut down bit by bit. The east wing had already been closed. One night he was getting a patient from the west wing. He saw a small group of nurses who used to work in the east wing. They looked very shaken. When he checked on them, they said they had just been to the east wing to give it one last look over for old time's sake. When they were there though, one of the phones started ringing. A nurse answered it. She said there was a woman's voice on the other end that sounded confused. She said, "How can I help you?" asked the nurse. "Where am I?" came the reply. "This is a hospital. Are you a patient here?" replied the nurse. "Oh, okay," came the reply again. The phone line then went dead. The nurse looked at the screen on the phone to see where the call had come from. It had come from the room right next to the nurse's station they were at. By this point the rooms had all been cleared out, including the phones. They looked into the rooms, nobody was there. They looked at each other in absolute horror and then ran for the elevator. They had gone there for old time's sake, but now they were very eager to get out of there forever. At number 7 now, we have the Angels. This one comes from Reddit user DKM2004. He said that just after he graduated high school, he started working at a truck stop a few miles outside of his town. He usually worked evenings but had to take a night shift one night. At 3 AM, he was struggling to stay awake when a car slowly pulled up into the parking lot. There was a guy in the driver's seat who was crying his eyes out and a woman in a passenger seat just staring straight ahead, blankly. Not moving, showing no emotion at all. They sat there like that for an hour. Then the guy got out of his car and entered the truck stop. He grabbed a few random items and put them on the counter. The whole time he kept looking around him as if he was checking for other people. There was nobody there though but the two of them. He then stopped looking around and stared right into the cashier's eyes. The tears stopped flowing for a moment. In a low voice he said, "It's quiet out here, isn't it? So quiet you can almost hear the angels singing." He then left the store store and got into the car. The girl had still not moved an inch. What do you guys make of that one? Moving on to number 6 now, we have the president's chair. This one comes from Reddit user Graves, who worked as a security officer at a small company's headquarters in New York. Now, he was working from himself one night from midnight to 6 a.m. Little did he know that one of the employees had actually stayed in the building after hours. The employee hadn't been spotted before everyone left, so he didn't know there was someone there. He noticed a movement on one of the screens, and then again a few minutes later. Perhaps he was imagining things. He headed out to do a quick sweep. He entered a large hallway and saw a flash of movement at the end. Now he was freaked out. He stood frozen for a minute, looking out into the darkness. Then he heard a single loud gunshot echo out from down the hallway. He walked down to investigate, and when he reached the end, he saw the light in the president's office was still on. He slowly approached the door and creaked it open. What he saw has haunted him ever since. The man had taken a seat in the president's chair and shot himself in the head with a pistol, splattering blood and brains all over the floor and walls. It turned out he was having problems at home and hated his boss as well, so he decided to just end his life in his office. The security guard threw up a few times and then called the police. He said he still has nightmares to this day. At number 5 now, we have the kids. This one comes from Reddit user WorkNerd7623. She said she works at a crisis nursery, which is a facility for emergency care for children under the age of 7. She used to work the night shift there. Her nursery was named after a child that was beaten to death by one of their parents in the hope that it would prevent other children from being abused by adults. The nursery was also said to be haunted. Now, she had always been told the stories of a kid's spirit that was seen running around at night. It didn't really bother her though. She didn't really believe it. One night though, a kid got up to go to the bathroom. One of her co-workers helped the kid back to bed and returned to the room they were all sitting in. Soon after, someone heard the water running in the bathroom. They checked and found that it was on. The co-worker swore that it was off when she left. That was weird, they thought. Her co-workers told her that one of the reasons that everyone thinks the nursery is haunted is that many people have reported different children asking about that kid. The children always say things like, "Why doesn't that kid have to go to bed?" while they point at absolutely nothing. A few weeks later, she was watching over the kids as they slept. She was reading her book when all of a sudden, one of the youngest kids sat bolt upright in bed and simply said, "Hey, how come they aren't asleep? Why do they get to play? I want to play too." They continued to point at a wall. Nothing was there. She was instantly hit by shivers. She felt so scared she almost screamed. Ever since that night, she has refused to be in that room alone. Moving on to number 4 now, we have the accident. This one comes from Reddit user Rud07. She said she used to work the night shift at a hotel front desk. She had seen everything. Drunk, angry people, the mentally unstable. She thought that she was prepared for any sight or scene. One night, the hotel was hosting a college baseball team. The team came back around 11 and went up to their rooms and straight to bed. No big deal, she thought. Then, around 1 a.m, the coaches came back. They were very drunk. They went up to their rooms, and that was the last she heard for about an hour. While she was setting up for breakfast, she heard the elevator ding at around 2 or 3 a.m. Out of the elevator burst one of the coaches, running straight out of the front door. After a moment, he runs back inside, shouting, "He fell, he fell." She ran outside, already dialing for the police, and saw one of the coaches lying on the ground. He was face down in a huge puddle of blood. In a daze, she put him in the rescue position so that he wouldn't choke on his own blood. The paramedics got there, and as they were loading him up, one of them wiped his head to reveal a split that was so wide and so deep she actually saw his brain. He was taken to hospital and lived. She got a raise from her boss the very next day, but the sight has never quite left her. Next up at number 3 now, we have the old woman. This one came from Reddit user Expected. He said that he works at a hospital overnight. One patient claimed to be Jesus. He clawed his eyes right out and ate them before being restrained. Those were the kind of patients that he would have to deal with. Many employees claimed the hospital was haunted. He didn't believe them until he saw a few things happen. The 4th floor was always closed. It used to be a baby ward though. One night he heard an actual baby crying coming from up there. He called security, but they found no baby. Another night he was cleaning 2 rooms after some patients had left. The rooms were connected and there was one exit. He cleaned the first room, left for 10 minutes, got his supplies and went back to the other when he saw a little old lady in a chair hunched over. He stared at her for a few seconds, thinking that it was strange that they had put a patient in there so quickly. 2 nurses asked if he was the one who had been sitting in the chair. They got scared when he said that no, it wasn't him, it was an old lady lady. He had seen her too. When he went back to check, the room was empty. She had disappeared. He definitely would have seen her if she walked out and past him. Nobody on that floor fit the description of her except for the old lady who had died in that room just 4 hours before his shift started. Next up at number 2 now, we have The Hill. This one comes from Reddit user Dirty Money. He said he used to work as a night watchman on a large property. It wasn't a big building, but the land around it was, about 50 acres and very secluded. He was always alone. There was also a long gated driveway. One night he started his rounds by walking out of the front door. The area was lit up. As soon as he locked the door behind him and took a step, he heard a woman's voice scream, "Oh my god, somebody please help me," at the end of the driveway. It was quite faint and he took 5 running steps into the driveway, skidded to a stop, and then they ran back inside to call the police. They came with multiple police cars and even a helicopter, but they found absolutely nothing. To this day, he thinks it was people out in the woods who were trying to lure him out of his secluded house and rob him or the house or do something even worse to him. And finally now at number 1, we have The Ghost Ship. This one comes from Reddit user Inquisitive About You. He said that he used to be a ship officer on a container ship many years ago, sailing out into the Indian Ocean. On one night shift, an object showed up on the radar on a collision course with their ship. It was a clear night on a calm sea and an almost full moon. They looked out to get a visual confirmation but saw nothing. After waiting for almost an hour, the radar indicated that the mystery ship was still on a collision course with them. The captain was called. He and the other seasoned officers just couldn't figure out what was going on. To be better safe than sorry, the captain decided to perform an evasive maneuver. The other ship seemed to change course together with them and was now back on a collision course. Both of their radars showed the ship. It even had its own name and call sign. When the ship got closer, it became very clear there was nothing above the water. Though it was probably a radar malfunction, the captain ordered his crew to ready the lifeboats and prepare to deploy on impact. The dot on the radar collided with them and then disappeared. Nothing happened. In the next harbour, the radars were checked thoroughly by experts who said that they were fine. Whatever showed up on the radar should have been there in real life. Now what do you guys think the explanation is for that? Alright guys, how was that? I hope you're not watching this alone and at night. I especially hope you're not watching this while working an actual night shift. Let me know if you want more though. There are honestly so many good ones out there. Thanks for watching as always guys. My name is Danny Burke and I'll see you all in the next video.